Hey everybody, my name is Leah Pearson. I'm an Emerald Ambassador. Welcome to Monday Night Team Call. Welcome to a busy holiday season. I actually have my Christmas shirt on because we had a Christmas party for our homeschool group today. Everything's starting to begin. It's busy, it's full. Thanksgiving just came and went. I hope you had a beautiful time with your family. Maybe you hosted and you feel like, man, I just need to rest and recover after that craziness. Or maybe you went really hard in your business for the month of November with a free reset and you feel like, I just need to regroup a minute because it has been crazy. I'm here to tell you no, nope. It's not time to regroup or to stop because that's not how you want to go into Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, which are the days that you really should be pausing and resting and soaking up that time with your loved ones. Those are the days to unplug. But right now, you need to get busy sowing seeds, plexus seeds, so that you can reap a harvest in December. And also, that is going to trickle into the first quarter of 2025. The people who have an awesome new year in their business are the people who do not take the month of December off or even parts of December. Do you want to be successful? The successful people are the ones who are intentionally working right now. And that is going to be what sets you up for a massive 2025. And just a reminder, I was just talking to my husband about this. He's not a planner. I am. But I said, the holidays are not a surprise. You knew when Thanksgiving was going to be. You know when Christmas is. I bet you guys, do you know when your Christmas parties are? Like a lot of your holiday parties or whatever it is that you're doing this month, you probably have it on your calendar already. It is not a surprise. Those things are not an excuse to not get your work done. Plan ahead and work around those special days and unplug and then soak up quality time. I'm all about that. I am a big family person, but planning ahead and front loading is what's going to allow you to do this. So if you want freedom and joy in this season, even if it's a crazy busy season, you have to be intentional with your time, front load the first 15 days and make sure that you are leading the month with energy right out of the gate. So let's talk about why front loading. First of all, people really need the extra support and encouragement these next few weeks as far as like your customers, your team. They're going to be off schedule, eating rich foods, probably stressed out. If you are stressed and struggling too, you're not going to be able to pour into your team and into your potentials. So plan ahead the best that you can, because planning ahead means that you're going to be able to serve your people really, really well. And a couple quick reasons why it's going to be so important, especially this month, to front load. You can enjoy Christmas worry-free, proactive instead of reactive at the end of the month. That takes the stress out so you can enjoy family time. But also, I don't know if you guys watched the December previews or the December videos, but there is a guaranteed payout on that Christmas cash if you sign up the 4 people or the 8 people. I think it's if you sign them up before the 15th, you'll get $200 or that $600 bonus. Before Christmas gets here. That is huge. So if you're intentional and you hit your goals before mid-month, that's going to be a huge blessing for you. Also, it does not just stop with you. If you front load those new people that you have coming in, you give them time to share about Plexus as well and be blessed before Christmas. So it's smarter to get people silver the first half of the month. And what a blessing that's going to be for them. So that's kind of my thoughts on front loading. As far as intentionality with your time, this is something I'm really passionate about because I came into this business too busy to do this business, is what my objection was. I don't know if anybody else dropped that in the comments. You probably already have a full life. If you are here, you're a go-getter. It's not like you're just sitting on the couch. And you're going to have extra things added to your plate the upcoming weeks. I love this quote. It's one of my favorite quotes. Time is free, but it is priceless. You can't own it, but you can use it. You can't keep it, but you can spend it. Once you've lost it, you can never get it back. Becoming purposeful with your time shows you respect your life, and it helps you to achieve your highest level of good, both in business and in your life's work. The problem is not time. I think everybody thinks that. I don't have time. The problem is time. Whether it's this season or any season of your life, the problem is that you are underestimating your value. And I'm speaking to myself. The problem is you do not know how valuable you are. And if you did know how valuable you are, you wouldn't be wasting your time anymore. So do you know your value? And do you know your worth? Because you are going to treat your days much more intentionally if you do, if you realize the value that you have. So the first step is knowing that you are valuable and that your time is valuable. So you aren't going to just let your days slip away without being intentional. If you legitimately feel like you do not have enough time in your days, whether, you might be working a day job, I homeschool my kids, family, extracurriculars, whatever it is. If you're feeling like you do not have time, I'm going to challenge you to go looking for time. Type that in the chat. I'm going to go looking for time. If God called you to this business, you must believe that he has given you everything that you need to do this, because scripture says he gives us everything that we need for life and godliness. He has given you what you need to live this life and to execute what he's put into your hands. So you need to believe that. So go looking for time, because it's there, because he's faithful. So where are you losing time in your days? Is it in the morning? Are you scrolling at night? Are you staying up too late? Where are you losing time? Get a time management app. I've done this before. I used an app called Moments previously. You can just Google free, time tracking app or something like that. But if you track a typical day, for 2 or 3 days, you're going to see those pockets of time and where you're losing time. And that is a really, really powerful way to redeem your time, is what I would call it. So track your time and then go looking for time. Find those pockets where you can make better use of your time, where you can assign that gap a specific task from one of the categories that I'm going to talk about in a minute here. Ask yourself, if I was my most productive self, what would my days look like? And then make a mock schedule to get a feel for how you should plan out your days. And there's a million videos on time management, how to do this, time blocking. I know Christina Williams talks about time blocking a lot. She posts about it quite a bit. Another method I've used is like a flow schedule where, I have like an order to my day, but it's a little bit more flexible. I did that when my kids were younger, and that worked a little bit better than more of a strict schedule. But I think that it seems like you get stuck on the method, like what method to use. That's like a huge hang up. The big thing is looking at, are you stewarding your time well? Look at those time pockets. Are you being intentional, or are you letting those time pockets slip away? Because you can get a lot of IPA done, maybe all of your IPA done in 20 minutes even, you guys, especially if you're organized with your work, which we'll talk about here in a bit. There are 4 main categories for time as you're planning this out, just to kind of really simplify it. I'd recommend grabbing just a piece of paper, make 4 columns, and jot down everything that falls into these categories for you. It's going to be different for everybody. Then after that, you can plug it into a rough outline of, a day or like a mock schedule. The 4 categories are family time. So this would include, meals with the family, educating if you're homeschooling, or homework if you have kids, activities like with your family, caring for a baby, anything like that. The second one would be personal time. What is that, right? Homeschool mom, I don't feel like I don't have personal time, but working out, hobbies, reading a book, prayer, meditation, lunch out, things like that. The next one would be work, whether that's your Plexus work, your IPA, or if you have a day job, that as well. Write all of that down, anything that is income producing. And then management time, which would be like cleaning your house, organizing, grocery shopping, paying bills, doctor's appointments, all those kinds of things. List all of these out from those different categories. And then, like I said, create a mock schedule and ask yourself, what would this look like if I was my most productive self? And I call that my diamond day. I have a big whiteboard in my kitchen, and that is what we follow as a family. And I have my whole family on board because my kids have vision for this as well. And just a side note, rest does need to be included in there. That doesn't mean that, you're just going 100 miles an hour all the time. Rest does help you be more productive. But start with a mock schedule. And then for the next 30 days, you're also going to add in, like I would do that first, and then I would add in your holiday stuff. So that way, when the holidays are over, you will have that mock schedule that you can use, later as well. But then add into those, like I said, those 4 categories, the holiday time, whether you make another column for it or whatever, but that would include, planning presents, wrapping, cooking, cleaning, hosting, extra family gatherings, shopping, whatever. There's a lot of extra stuff that comes along with the season, right? So, and I just wanted to say too, I just felt like this was on my heart for someone. If you have felt guilt or shame or burnout in whether it's your business or as a mom or life in general, maybe you felt like a constant guilt about working, or maybe not getting your work done and you're feeling guilty about that, or not doing the things that you want to do as a mom or a friend or a daughter. I want to challenge you. You have got to dig your heels in and renew your mind with this, and choose to believe you can't choose to believe that this is too hard, even in overwhelming seasons. And so I want to speak this over you, that plexus is not the problem. Your business is not the problem. It could be, and I say this with love, your lack of intentionality. It could be a lack of clarity on what the most important things are in your life. And then being able to prioritize, those things, that probably is the problem, and or like a scarcity mindset in regards to your time, or a victim mindset that it's too hard. Remember how I said God gives us everything that we need for life and godliness. So speaking this out of experience, you might need to implement some affirmations and renew your mind with this. You don't have to feel shame or guilt in your business, and plexus is not the problem. So release that. And I want to challenge you to really prayerfully consider, what are the most important things in your life in those 4 categories. And then of course with the holiday stuff as well. And like I said, you just plug them into a calendar, plug it into a schedule so it's in front of you, because it seems so simple, but it's going to bring clarity and fulfillment, and it's going to shatter that guilt. I just feel like there's some people on here tonight, you have that guilt. It's going to shatter it if you have clarity. I'm not saying that it's necessarily going to be easy, especially if you're in a stretching season right now. This is work, but you can do it. It won't be perfect, but I believe that this is going to help you stay on track with walking out your calling and your conviction in this season. I want to share another tool that's been super helpful for me as well. In this season, I would love to say that I have weekends off, but I don't have the luxury of just taking a weekend and unplugging. I need to get better at implementing a Sabbath, I will say that. But I do use the weekends to set myself up for success in my business, in my home, in my homeschool. And one thing that has been a game changer for me is I implement what I call, I don't know, it's my term, I don't know where I got it from, high yield weekend work is what I call it. And this is work that you may be struggling to get done, or is time consuming during the week, or maybe it's emotionally or mentally draining for you, whether it's plexus or non-plexus. So for me, some non-plexus things that are high yield activities that I do on the weekends: laundry, cleaning, food prep, grocery shopping. And then I would definitely recommend planning like your holiday stuff, doing that on the weekend too, so you're keeping it separate from your other things. And I'll talk more about that in a minute. But I call all these high yield activities because they just bring huge relief and breathing room during the week, so I can stay on track with my priorities. They're simple things that you can set that really just set you up for success, and basically they make you proactive instead of reactive. So if you don't know what proactive versus reactive, like specifically in your plexus business is, you should talk to your sponsor about that. And I think that that is going to be just a huge weight off your shoulders if you grow in that. Some examples of high yield weekend plexus work specifically that I do, I wanted to kind of give a list for you guys that's really helped me. Social media content. If you struggle with writing posts during the week, get them pre-written over the weekend. There's some good posts on the team page on how to do this and just kind of plan ahead. Also, if you've not watched the training on ChatGPT and pre-planning your posts from Ruby Retreat, I really encourage you to check that out, because that was a really good resource and I have been utilizing that. So that is a great way to just kind of pre-plan that content. And actually, as a digital creator, I schedule a lot of my posts on Facebook so that I don't even have to be on, which has been really, really helpful. Another thing that is high yield work, I always try to clear my messages on the weekend. So I'm sure you've had a message get buried before. Message catch up is huge. Take 10 minutes, 20 minutes and just clear the whole thing. Respond to, even if it's level 2s or 3s, other chats that you're in, whatever. It builds up, and that stresses me out. Does that stress anybody else out? Something about I need to answer those messages. So clearing those out ahead of time has been really, really helpful. Extra follow-ups, like doing a follow-up Friday, is huge. So Fridays are not technically the weekend, but you can pick a day and just get some massive follow-up done in addition to your regular IPA. And that is huge for just getting additional conversations going and reaching your goals. One thing that I've talked to my team about this a lot the last couple of weeks and cannot stress enough is make sure you're refreshing your lists going into the week. And so you should have a reach out list, follow up list, to-do lists, all those things. It makes your IPA go so much quicker during the week if you're doing this, and you can literally get IPA done just in a couple minutes if you have those lists updated. And how I do that, a lot of times what I'll do at the beginning of the month, I will update my reach out list so I have enough people to reach out to for the whole month. But then I also update it at the beginning of each week and just make sure, based on how many people, like what my goals are, how many people that I want to reach out to, I make sure that I have those people ready to go in front of me so I'm not scrolling and looking for people to reach out to. Because that wastes so much time. I already know how many people I'm going to reach out to each week, how many people to follow up with. If you need guidance on that, connect with your sponsor, and they can help you with that number. It's really based on your goals. And then as far as follow-up goes, I just did a follow-up team call. There's a lot of ways to do this, but what I'll say is this: I've coached people before where they're like, I don't have anyone to follow up with. If you feel that, there's a couple things. Number one, you're either not reaching out to new people. So make sure that you're getting those new reach outs in. I recommend at least 5 a day. Or number two, if you are consistently doing those reach outs and you don't feel like you have people to follow up with, you probably aren't tracking their responses and putting them in lists. So keeping track of those people is really, really important. And I do that in 2 different ways. I have a list, like in a spreadsheet. You could do it in a notebook where it's cold, warm, hot is how I do it. So after I reach out to them and get a response, I will put them in one of those categories. Cold is people who didn't respond, or they've responded kind of snippy, like don't talk to me. The warm people would be people that maybe engaged in some conversation. They were maybe open to a little bit of information, that sort of thing. Hot would be people who are interested and engaged. And then, so I do that, but then I also schedule follow-ups in my planner and I pencil those in accordance to that follow-up call that I just did. So if you have not seen that team call, you can check that out, but I will schedule people like a week out, 2 weeks out, a month out, things like that. So you should have people to follow up with. And if you feel like you don't, it's probably because you don't have it organized. And if you have those lists in front of you, you can get your follow-up done very quickly. Some other high yield weekend work, reflection from the week. It's always good to ask yourself questions. What is working? What isn't? Where am I losing my time? Like if you're feeling like you're really struggling with getting things in still, reassessing those time pockets, updating your schedule, things like that. Basic life organization. So if your house exploded from a holiday party, you shouldn't be cleaning during business hours. So just setting a time, I feel like it's always a weight off for me, a weight off of my chest if I'm like, okay, I know that at this time I'm going to clean my house. Like it's just on the schedule, pre-deciding that and not just doing it during your work hours, something like that. Another thing that I like to do on the weekends is additional like networking and group engagement. Like on Facebook, I do a lot of like Facebook groups, that sort of thing. And if you are like adding value in those groups, it's a really good idea to just pre-plan that ahead of time. So you're not trying to think about it when you sit down to do your IPA, you can just get it in. So highly recommend doing that. Meal prepping is another one. And then of course, 'tis the season, holiday shopping, packing, mailing, anything like that. That is high yield weekend work, you guys. If you're tempted to intertwine it with your work, that can get really, really messy. You're going to squirrel and intertwine your Christmas shopping and your IPA, and it's all going to take you 5 times as long to do it. Your brain is not going to be functioning at the capacity that it's capable of. So really just keeping promises to yourself and setting parameters around your work time, your work hours. Know what you're going to complete during that time, keeping those lists updated, like what I just talked about, knowing your IPA checklist, having those lists ready, and just executing when it's office hours. It's so simple to say, but the discipline of doing that is not easy because Amazon is right there on your computer. I know it's so tempting. So set aside time for shopping or baking or whatever. That way you have time to look, or a time to look forward to. Block it into your schedule and then just decide that ahead of time. Something that I do is I set a large pad of paper out for myself so I can brain dump. So if something comes to mind while I'm doing devotions or while I'm in the middle of my reach outs, I can jot it down and then return to it later. That way I'm not going back and forth between my IPA and my Christmas list or whatever it is. If you want to be successful, you need to decide ahead of time what your non-negotiables are for this last month of the year. So decide now what the most important things are, and that's in all areas of your life, your family, your business, all of it. That way you're at peace with what you decided on ahead of time based on your long-term vision and what's most important for you and your family in this holiday season. That's what's going to create the peace. There may be some sacrifices this year. You're going to have to ask yourself, is this worth it for me to take a year off from whatever it is, making your own bows, cooking everything from scratch, whatever, to continue to pour into my business and serve my team and my family well? Will it be worthwhile? Like, what's your long-term vision? You really need to think through these things. And then remember, just because you're laying those things down, it does not mean that it's going to be forever. Being deliberate now and making those choices ahead of time about what is a non-negotiable is what's going to eliminate the guessing game. And that's why I wanted to do this call at the beginning of December so you can make decisions now this week. And I think it'd be really wise to just check in with your sponsor about what your non-negotiables are specifically for your Plexus business this week as well. I don't know if you've done a coaching call with them yet, but bring that up on your coaching call. If you don't decide on those non-negotiables and the negotiables, you're going to be making decisions along the way. And then what happens is you're going to have decision fatigue. That's one thing, but you're going to be making those decisions out of emotion or fleshly decisions based on how you feel. And it will be really easy for shame or guilt to creep in if you're not deciding ahead of time. So like, say you bake Christmas cookies with your kids every year, and you keep that open-ended and do not decide that it's a negotiable or non-negotiable. If you don't decide ahead of time, that's going to create an issue along the way, because then you're going to have to make a decision spur of the moment with emotions running high. And, that's how all of a sudden you just skip IPA for 2 days. Like, that's right. It just is emotion. You're not thinking that long-term vision, and then you're not keeping promises to yourself too. So, if you don't decide your non-negotiables, then important things like your Advent reading, your kids, your business, all of it. I'm not just saying your business hours. I'm also thinking like, I want to do my Advent reading with my kids. That's important to me. Those things are going to slide. So if you don't decide ahead of time, you literally create it as an option in your brain. So if you're doing this and you're mapping everything out and you're plugging things into your schedule, you're going to be at peace with what you've decided ahead of time, based on your long-term vision and what's most important for your family in this holiday season. So Plexus non-negotiables, IPA, obviously talk to your sponsor if you want details as far as like exactly what you should be doing. There's IPA chats, reach outs, follow-up, social media content, customer care, running events, weekly reflection, personal development, duplication, all of those things. The other thing that I will say that should be a non-negotiable in December, and this is what I'm challenging myself with too, is silver development. Or even beyond, setting that standard of helping people get 4. So not even stopping at silver with this cash for the holidays, having that goal of having everybody get 4, that is huge. That needs to be a non-negotiable, because over the holidays, money is tight. People overspend, and then January gets here and they're like, oh my word, I put it on a credit card. Everybody needs to be getting a paycheck so that they're not putting themselves on the back burner with their products in the upcoming months. If they have a paycheck coming in, they are going to stay. So revisit everyone on your team, happy product users, everybody coming in, talk to everybody about accountability partners getting +4. That's what we want. We don't want everybody to get Christmas cash. And that's going to help them get best results, because if you can keep people on the triplex for 90 days, 80+% of people will be on the products a year later, 80+%. That's huge. So we want to have that better retention, and a huge part of that is duplication, getting them sharing. We're running out of time. The other thing that I was going to say, front loading is a way to serve people. So getting people silver, if you are intentional with your work now and you're really front loading those first 15 days of the month, you're going to give people more of an opportunity to go silver. They've got the whole month to do it. And that's going to open up an avenue of blessing for them. If you wait till the end of the month, it's like you're blocking their blessing, really, because everybody's kind of scrambling towards the end of the month. So plan ahead, be proactive, give them time so that they can share with their friends. And speaking of end of the month, one thing that I like to do every December is I keep what I call a December 28 list. I keep this every year. So throughout the month, as you're having conversations with people, you're going to have people, it's very normal, where they're going to say, not right now or after the holidays. That's a very common thing. Keep a list of those people who you think will eventually join, people who Yeah, that sounds really great, just not right now. Keep that list. And I want you to keep tabs on them through all of December and then connect with them right after Christmas. Do not wait for the new year. Connect with them. I don't know, Plexus might have something fun at the end of the month. I have no idea. A lot of times they do that. We will see. But even if there's not like another sale or something, you can create and talk to your sponsor about how to do this. But you can create urgency um, somehow, some way by either offering new information or new energy in a follow up and encouraging them to not wait until after the new year. But you have to be the one that initiates that conversation. And I've done this every year and it works. So be intentional, plan on working hard and doing massive follow up December 27 to 29. That is huge. That's a huge time frame. And I wanted to end with this. So if you're going to be making $1 million a year or $25,000 a month or whatever your big crazy number is in your brain, a couple years from now, that's your goal. Is it going to be worth it to you to blank this holiday season? Buy the cupcakes, use gift bags instead of wrapping all your presents. Pay your oldest child to wrap your presents. I might have done that this weekend. Would it be worth it? What do you need to do to keep moving forward in your business? What kind of decisions and priorities do you need to set? What does that $25,000 a month mean to you? I want to fund clean water efforts across the globe. And I feel like that is a little bit bigger than making sure all my presents are wrapped perfectly. I want to be able to give more in a month than what we made in a year before I started my Plexus business. Like, what's your long-term vision? That makes everything else seem really small, doesn't it? Connecting with that long-term vision is huge. So just thinking about that and just shifting your perspective. And then foregoing making those cookies or making your bows or whatever, that all really seems small. You have to be married to the long-term vision of your business so that you do it even when you're exhausted, even when you have a lot going on, even when you have a lot vying for your attention. So you are valuable. Your time is valuable. Conduct yourself accordingly and front load this month with energy and conviction and clarity, and you're going to have a successful end to 2024. Thank you guys. Have a good night.